And we don't want it to become a thing where people are constantly self-critiquing, constantly thinking, my nose, my this, my that. What if there are things we never had the opportunity to learn? We've all been to school or training, but there are things they never taught us that actually make a powerful difference in life. I'm here to share with you all the pieces you've been missing: mindset, health, success, and more. And we'll all learn together from guests along the way. We may not have learned it the traditional way, but oh my goodness, let's keep learning how to do things differently. OMG Teach Me Tribe, hello again. We are here today to talk about something that could be a little bit difficult to talk about, depending on who you are and what your experiences have been in life. And that's part of why I want to do this. We've had a number of episodes on this podcast where we've talked about healthy living related things, from gut health to types of food to emotion, food connection to healthy cooking. And I'll tell you which episodes those are at the end of this one, because I think you could create for yourself sort of a little review once we talk about today's topic. And today's topic is body positivity and health. And the reason that I think this is a powerful podcast topic is that these two things often get sort of pitted against each other as if they are in contrast with each other, as if you can't be body positive and care about being healthy. Or if you care about being healthy, that's not body positive. And that's not what either of these terms mean. And so I want to help you see that. We're going to see if we can pull away the extremism about what these terms mean and make sense out of it. Okay? Hang in there with me. This is what we're going to do. So, what in the world, you might be asking yourself, because maybe you've never really heard this term very much. Maybe you're not on social media as much. I don't know. What in the world is body positivity? Well, here's the basic definition. I went Googling all around to see what I could find. And basically, body positivity means all people deserve to have a positive body image, regardless of how society, pop culture, social media, magazines, TV view an ideal shape, size, or appearance. And if I just stop there with that definition, I think we would be hard pressed to find someone who disagrees with that. I mean, honestly, of course, every person deserves to have a positive body image. It doesn't matter the measurements or the whatever. Every person. And in fact, last week's episode was all about being kind to ourselves. So go and have a quick review of episode 38 if you have forgotten that concept already. Fully on board with the idea that everyone deserves to have a positive body image. And quite frankly, if you are around people, following people on social media, whatever it might be, who are making you feel any other way, don't be around them. Stop following them. Because sometimes we sort of think that we need to tear people down in order to then build them back up and help them change. And again, if we learned anything from last week's episode, self-criticism or criticism in general is not the way that we keep motivation. So, understanding that that's the definition, let's talk a little bit more about what body positivity then includes. So, the idea, this actually is a term, believe it or not, I actually was surprised at this, but this is a term that's been around since the late 60s, early 70s. And it, pops up in a more popular way here and there. But when social media became a big thing, this became again a big thing. If you think about it, when I was growing up, I would see, people who are very thin or very fit or whatever on TV, and I would see them in magazines. And it was discussed at that time. We won't talk about when that was, but it was discussed at that time that maybe Magazines were giving an unrealistic expectation for women's bodies. That issue has always been being discussed, but just imagine for a minute, think about it, how significantly more of a big deal that has become with social media. And I have two kids that are in their 20s, and thankfully, neither of them is really glued to social media all the time. I don't know how exactly that happened or why, but I think it's probably healthier. Now, I'm on social media a lot, and so I'm not trying to say social media is not healthy if you do it in a healthy way. I am saying that at impressionable ages, people are now exposed to a lot more of potentially negative body image type material. So it's kind of 10x'd what was happening when I was younger. So, in this way, this body positivity idea and the movement for body positivity is a really good thing. The goal is to challenge how society and pop culture views the body and to promote that all bodies of all shapes and sizes are accepted and help people build confidence, address the unrealistic standards. In fact, if you actually meet people who are in the modeling industry or acting, or they do tend to be very, very thin, and they work really hard to keep that up. And that's not something that all of us want to do. And it's not something all of us need to do or should do. But anyway, that's not the topic of today's podcast episode. So I'm totally on board with this. I'm betting you're totally on board with this. We want to understand what media messages have to do with how we look at our bodies. And we don't want it to become a thing where people are constantly self critiquing, constantly thinking, my nose, my this, my that, always focusing on the negative. And interestingly, even though social media can be a source of images that we might compare ourselves to and they might make us feel bad, Instagram has played a pivotal role in this body positivity movement. And magazines are getting on board, different publications are getting on board. Some of them have stopped airbrushing models. Maybe you've seen the Dove ads. They're showing people of all different shapes and sizes. They're normalizing that everybody looks different. Everybody has a different shape and size. So there are some positive things happening because people are saying, well, wait a minute. Yeah, of course we should be able to feel good about ourselves. Why should anyone not be able to feel good about themselves? And then we go deeper. So always, always, we want to be kind to ourselves. Always we want to work on mindset to the extent that that negative voice in our brains, and you'll hear it called the monkey brain, you'll hear it called the subconscious brain. There's a million different ways we could call it. There is a negative voice in everyone's brain. If you have that in your brain, it is not something wrong with you. That negative voice is trying to keep us safe. And so it's going to tell us things that make us maybe pull back from challenges or risks. And while that's not ideal necessarily, in many cases, we understand where that's coming from. The problem is if the brain starts to perceive that a risk or a challenge is that I'm comparing myself to other people, you're comparing yourself to other people, and the brain starts to tell you how you're lacking in the actual appearance comparison to other people, well, that is less of a safety issue and more of a now you're just tearing yourself down issue. And some of this can be solved by working on messages out in the media and making sure that the body positivity movement is being seen. And another piece of this comes from understanding how our brains work and how mindset works, and understanding that when we catch our brains going into that negative place and comparing us to someone else, there's no benefit to be gained from that. It's your brain trying to keep you safe from some perceived risk, which I have to imagine if I'm thinking, how would I try to figure this out in myself? The risk is maybe to look bad versus someone else, and probably it's to look bad in someone else's opinion versus someone else. That's probably where that risk is sitting. And this is something that we can learn how to switch our mindset about. Unfortunately, it's also something that can lead to anxiety, can be a part of what brings us into depression, can absolutely create low self esteem. It can be part of eating disorders. If it goes too far, that we're comparing ourselves to other bodies that look different than ours, and we're finding ourselves to be lacking, there's a lot of unfortunate and troubling complications that can happen. So, all of that being said, body positivity, yes, good. Here's the problem. Sometimes we go so far with body positivity that we kind of don't want to be told that maybe there would be healthier choices. We want to say, I am perfect the way I am. Don't talk to me about changing the way I move, changing my habits, changing the way I eat. And that's not what body positivity means. So let's flip over and let's talk about health. And then I'll see if we can bring them together. Because I think inherently we kind of all know this, what I'm trying to get across today. And at the same time, the messages are bombarding us from everywhere all the time. So it's worth kind of thinking it through. Maybe you are growing a business and using social media. Maybe you have kids or committees who need a basic website for sports or for something at their school. For me, it's having a link in bio for this podcast that is easy for me to update, looks fantastic, and easy for you to find what you are looking for. I use Boss Lady Bio, and you can absolutely create a website that looks fantastic, and you do not have to know how to code. Have a look at what Boss Lady Bio offers at omgteachme.com/recommendations. You can even try it for free. Okay, so put body positivity down for a moment and let's talk about health. So, is health simply a number on the scale or a size on the clothing rack? No, it's not. Are you more healthy always if you weigh less or if you wear a smaller size clothes? No, not necessarily. It is not a one-to-one relationship. Does it matter that we want to live in a healthy way? And will that potentially change the way our bodies look? Yes, it matters. And yes, potentially that might change the way our bodies look. So a lot of this is just switching the perspective and switching the intention. So to me, healthy living is treating your body in the absolute best way you can. One of my friends always says, you take your car every few months to get an oil change and a check, and you make sure it has all this good stuff in it. Why would you not treat your body, which is keeping you alive for hopefully a really, really long time, a lot longer than that car is going to be around? Why would you not treat your body at least as well as you treat your car? And it's a good point. What are we putting in? What are we doing with our bodies? And how well are we treating them if we're expecting them to hang around for 70, 80, 90 years? That's a long time, right? It's a lot longer than a car. All right, that metaphor is probably done. Let's keep going. So you live in your body, and health as a concept is taking the best care of your body that you can. You can't control necessarily every single ailment or illness or disease, but you can create a situation where your body can fight those things to the best of its ability, and you can help your immune system to do that. And you can create a situation where you move your body regularly and the muscles are strong and the bones are strong, and that saves you from more injuries that you might otherwise have. And you can create a situation where you're eating in a way that makes you feel energized and also helps you sleep, both at the same time. Not at the same time, but you know what I mean. Where you feel good about yourself. You can walk out into the world and you can have the energy and the interest and the lack of muddled, confused brain to actually do what you want to do with your life. All of that is health. Now, it doesn't mean that you need to be any particular shape. And I saw an ad. Somebody needs to send this to me on social media if you know what I'm talking about. But I know I have seen an ad somewhere where, or maybe it was a story in a magazine or something, where there were all different people, women, I think it was, and they all were wearing the same size clothes, but their shapes were very different: taller, shorter, bigger around, thinner, but somehow maybe it was, broader shoulders or broader hips or smaller waist or whatever. Everybody was totally different. And it was saying that all of these people were wearing the same size. So even in one size of clothing, there are a ton of different ways that a body might look. It's not about one look. It's not about one number. And those who talk about health in that way, I think, are doing us a disservice. Just like on the body positivity side of this, those who talk about body positivity as if you should not even worry about your whatever you eat, do whatever you want, are also doing us a disservice. We can take it to the extreme on both sides. So I hope that makes sense. It's not about a number. Here's what I would encourage you to do if you want to be healthy and you want to feel good about your body. Number one, take the absolute best care of your body like it is the most expensive car you've ever owned. Feed it food that makes you feel good. And this is why I do a 30-day reset a couple of times a year where I take out all sorts of inflammatory food. I let my gut health reset. I have more energy because some of the things we eat make us tired. And we can eat them and we can enjoy them. And we have to just know everything we put in our body has an effect. So give your body food that is fuel most of the time. Then move your body. So it doesn't matter what size you are. You can put some shoes on and go walk. And quite frankly, it doesn't really affect what size you're going to be necessarily. I think I said this on another episode once. One summer, years ago, I did a running program to get ready for a half marathon. And I did get up to running 12 miles. I was never intending to actually run the half marathon. I just wanted to see what I could do. We might be using running loosely. It might have been more jogging. But anyway, I didn't lose a single pound during the summer that I was doing this training program. And it was probably because I was eating more. I don't know exactly why. Who knows? That's not why I was doing it. And so what I'm saying is the point is to move your body, to build muscle, to develop strength, to keep your heart healthy by at least walking and bringing your heart rate up a little bit regularly. It doesn't even take much, and it doesn't matter what size you are or what your body shape is. Everybody can do that, and that's taking care of you. Do you go and get your checkups? Do you get the tests that are recommended for you on an annual basis or every 5 years or whatever it is for you and your age and your gender? Take care of your body. It doesn't matter what size it is and what shape it is. So I would put the scale aside. I would pick out the clothes that I feel really good in. And then maybe I would notice if suddenly those clothes were getting a little tight, if I'd chosen this is the way I feel really good. But that's a personal decision. It's not a number that is the right number. I'm using air quotes. I would ask myself, do I feel good getting up in the morning? Or do I feel sluggish, almost hungover, even if I wasn't drinking? Do I sleep well? Or am I constantly waking up? Do I get tired in the middle of the day? Do I get hungry all the time? Maybe I'm not fueling my body in the right way. Do I think about food all the time? Maybe there's an emotional connection there that I need to explore. Do I easily get up and down off the floor? If you're in midlife, don't laugh at that, because that's important, and it doesn't stay if we don't keep mobility. Can I remember what in the world I was doing 2 hours ago? All of those things are measures of health, and it doesn't matter the size or shape of your body. What else can you do besides treating your body well with healthy foods? Well, you can look in the mirror and you can pick out things that you like about yourself. And you can avoid berating yourself for things that you don't like. I bet you every single one of you has something about yourself, your hair, your body, whatever it is, that you don't really love. But there's things you do. And most of it, you're probably just neutral about. This is you. This is me. This is what we look like. Body neutrality is a good thing too. But focus on the things you like. And then, and I kind of said this, find clothes that feel good and you feel good in, and they will flatter you right now. There is no right or wrong size. And let me just say this, because as somebody who got stuck on numbers a lot when it came to weight, I know this can happen with clothes as well. Now, if I start to see myself going up and up and up and up in size, that's an indicator to me that maybe I'm not treating my body in the best way. However, the actual size that I'm in and the actual size that you're in does not say anything about us or about our health. So buy the size that fits you well and looks good and makes you feel good. And that's probably going to allow you to move a bit more and go out in the world a bit more and eat a bit better because you feel good about yourself. And then I would also encourage you to do let's say, an audit of your social media and what you're putting in front of yourself. Are you following a lot of people who are kind of doing posed pictures that maybe deep down they've been photoshopped, or they've been kind of made with an aspirational view? Or are you following people that make you feel great and they celebrate everyone? It does matter. Even if it's a second and you're scrolling by, it does matter. And you don't have to follow those that make you feel bad. In fact, don't follow those that make you feel bad. And I'm going to give TikTok as an example because I learned a lesson recently from a good friend of mine who's in marketing. And so I'm assuming this is how she knew this. But she loves to pass a little bit of free time by going on TikTok and watching videos. And when she said that to me, I said, "You do?" First of all, we're not the age I imagine typically is on TikTok, but TikTok's for everyone now, right? And second of all, what are you watching? Like, I don't get it. And she said, TikTok has an algorithm that is really smart, and you can train it, and maybe even more quickly than some of the other social media sites. I don't know. I'm not a social media site expert, so you may or may not agree with me on that. But she said, make sure that you go and you watch videos that you like, and it will show you more that are similar to that. So I said, all right, let's put this to the test. And I love comedy. Love comedy. Laughing is powerful, healthy. I mean, goodness, it's amazing. So I started watching little clips from comedians. And if something else came up, I would just flick through it fast, fast, fast. I would spend more time purposefully watching the things that I found entertaining. Well, guess what? She was right. Because now when I open my TikTok, I get ads, I get things like that. Fine, no problem. I can go buy them if I'm not interested. But I see so many clips of funny and entertaining and silly things, and I love it. And that is an example of figuring out how to make your social media a positive thing. Get rid of all the stuff that makes you feel bad, because in that way, body positivity is really important. I want you to feel great about you, and I want you to treat you really well when it comes to healthy decisions. And the two can go together. So I hope this made sense. I wanted to put those two terms together so we're not taking them to the extreme. I wanted to give you some items to do. Now, here's the episodes of OMG Teach Me that you might find interesting if you hung in there with me with this episode. So, episode 8, I talked about the two types of food, fuel and fun. Episode 32, Nina Savell Rockland talked with us about the emotion-food connection. That's a powerful one. Episode 33, Jessica Mitchell talked with us about easy, healthy cooking. And just recently, episode 37, Leslie Zwick and I talked about what does healthy even mean. So we're going to take it farther than what I was even talking about. So I want you to focus on what you love about you, and I want you to treat you well. Have a great one. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. OMG, I would be so honored if you would take a moment, leave a rating, leave a review, or take a screenshot and share on your social media. Let's get this message out further into the world. Now it's time to head down to the show notes to see the resources I mentioned. We may not have learned this before, but it sure is powerful now.